This is One Lucian Radio.
Rest assured that Richard Frederick is going to be in the fray. I will be in the fray. I will be influencing voters one way or the other. I've not given up yet, and I do know that my people are counting on me. I will not let them down. Castries Central will still have a voice in Parliament, trust me.
So what is it that's taking you so long for you to declare this?
Oh dear.
What is
Hold
it
on.
taking you so long?
Well, officers, I need assistance.
What is it that is taking you? What is it taking you so long?
You see, one has to understand what is happening. One has to look at the political landscape. One has to make the right decisions at the right time. And obviously, one needs to ensure that he or she does not join a bandwagon that will end up being a field bandwagon. And so I'm not one of those persons who just seem to jump on bandwagons for jumping on bandwagon's sake. You assess what is happening, and then you make a decision based on the cry of your people. My people are crying out loud. Like I've always said, there seemingly is a vacuum in Castries Central, and that call will be responded to in due time.
What is your take on King's return to the UWP?
Well, I've spoken about that time and time again, so I don't think it is necessary. It's worthy of repetition at this point. I spoke of it last Thursday on my show, so I don't think it's worthy of repetition now.
Mr. Frederick, anything about the sex offender registry?
Oh, you heated me on an area that, to be honest, I've done a little reading on it. I saw your contribution. I noted your concerns. And it is something that one has to look at, dissect, and to really make a conclusive statement in terms of what is happening. But generally, I do believe that something needs to happen insofar as the identification of sex offenders is concerned.
And what about a decriminalization of marijuana?
Decriminalization of marijuana. You must understand that, it's one thing for a reporter to put a mic before you. It's something else to respond instantaneously, because those sometimes opinions made or opinions disclosed at the spur of the moment can come back to haunt you. I don't even know what my position is on that yet, unless the OECS makes a collective decision in terms of going forward or backward, or in terms of decriminalizing or leaving things as are. I don't think my opinion would bother. However, I hate the hypocrisy. I hate the hypocrisy of some states saying that, look, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that, and yet in their own backyards they are doing it for their own financial gain. I hate that kind of a hypocrisy.
An international agency has declared the CIP as flawed. The system is flawed.
I don't think it's an international agency. I believe it's a man, a reputed person, who has obviously dissected what we have to offer in the CIP and has come up with the conclusion that it lacks transparency and it lacks certain fundamental traits that are necessary for the CIP to go forward smoothly. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, if anyone listens to objective criticism, if you are doing something and it is in the interest of the country, but you have it worked out improperly or wrongly, then it's up to you to listen to good critique, constructive criticism, and make right what you are doing wrong.
So John's Compton's birthday is coming up.
Written all of it. Right now we're hearing it's CWP propaganda. And you mentioned constructive criticism.
Yes.
Which means that we can probably tweak our program or be cognizant of what reputable companies or
of course,
experts are saying.
Indeed.
But the response from certain sections have been that has UWP propaganda written all of it.
Well, you see, let me just say this. The CIP is not something that is unique to St. Lucia. And had it been something that is innovative insofar as a government is concerned, just trying a thing, then obviously I would understand that it is, some kind of political dice that are being thrown all over the place. But obviously you have places right around us. St. Kitts makes a fortune out of the CIP program. And obviously St. Kitts would have had its teeth in problems. St. Kitts probably over the years have perfected the situation. And so I believe the CIP, the intention of the CIP is a good one. It's intended to bring about much needed revenue. It's intended to bring about employment. But some of the criticisms I see are right, because one of the criticisms I read was that the CIP, you could have given citizenship by persons investing in government bonds, which means that government sees an investor as a borrowing source and at the end of the day, you still have to pay back that investor with interest. So really and truly, you're getting nothing out of the investor but giving the investor citizenship. So obviously, I mean, notwithstanding the intention, there are certain fundamental flaws from which we will suffer. We will suffer teething problems. And if the criticism, like I said, is constructive, as a people of this country, we need to unify under one objective, i.e. do things in the interest of this country. And once the criticism, like I said, is constructive, let us make right what is wrong. Let us ensure that we take the advice and do whatever is necessary to put this thing on the table as being having transparency to that no one can end up criticizing.
Hermangild Francis have allegations against you saying that you're in bed with the Central Labour Party by giving you concessions to your construction firm. What do you say to this?
Let me just say this. I promised to deal with this on Thursday night. I mean, obviously I will. Last night I listened. I wasn't here. I returned yesterday. I returned yesterday afternoon from China, Hong Kong, and the United Kingdom. And I was indeed flabbergasted, of all persons, Hermangild Francis speaking to concessions, which I received. In politics, there are some people that are political analysts, and there are some people that are political scientists. But one of the terms I've come up with is a political archaeologist. And those persons are persons who have bestowed qualifications upon themselves without entering a university door. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, the legislation is there for each and every citizen of this country, for each and every company. And I will be calling out a number of company names that have received concessions. Does that mean when the United Workers' Party is in office and they grant concessions under whatever piece of legislation that makes the applicant entitled, does that mean UWP is in bed with all those companies? When the Labour Party grants concessions to companies, does that mean that the Labour Party is in bed with all those companies? It simply means that there is legislation that governs the granting of concessions, and if you are eligible under that legislation, you apply and you are granted once you fit the criteria. And that is all it is. I mean, there is the Tourism Incentive Act, there is the Special Development Areas Act, there are loads of pieces of legislation. It is up to companies, manufacturers, developers to acquaint themselves with the legislation that empower them to apply and receive concessions under the government. I am making a contribution. I'm doing development. There is a piece of legislation that says that a man like me is entitled to concessions. The government has granted me no favor, and as a matter of fact, had they not given me the concessions, I would have blown it up, because I would have asked, why am I not being granted concessions when I clearly meet the criteria slated in the legislation? So Hermangild Francis, Hermangild Francis is a reject. He was rejected by the St. Lucia Labour Party as Commissioner of Police. He was rejected by the St. Lucia Labour Party as a candidate. He was rejected by the very United Workers' Party when I single-handedly tried my utmost to make him commissioner. Those same fellas said, not one bit, they'll not have it. Today he's in bed with them. He was also rejected by Labour Party has rejected him twice, commissioner and candidate. Flabo has rejected him twice, commissioner and candidate. Yet he speaks of me getting concessions when I'm making a contribution to the economy and to the development of this country. One needs to ask Hermangild, what is his contribution? But rest assured, there'll be more on that. I'm sure most of you have heard about the Dear Sinai report. Read that report as it pertains to Hermangild Francis. But more on my show on Thursday night.
Thank you.
Imagine that report says